The story begins with a young Russian couple, Misha and Anya, who are by a lake at night. Misha appears to be hypnotized, as he keeps whispering the same words, asking for someone to come and get him. Very distressed, Anya pleads with him to move away, and then sees that his face looks different, with very red eyes. Misha falls into the lake, leaving Anya in such despair that she begs to be taken in his place. Moments later, he resurfaces, and his expression is back to normal. Swimming back quickly, he gets out of the lake and hugs Anya, apologizing. However, he suddenly stops speaking, as if something has frightened him, and says that another woman is there with them. Anya looks around but sees nothing, but suddenly her body is violently pulled into the lake by an invisible force. Misha tries to reach out to her and is horrified to see a pair of arms pulling his wife to her death. 20 years after the incident, we meet another couple, the young swimmer Roman Kitaev and his fiancée Marina. Roman is trying to teach her to swim, but the girl is very afraid of water. It's then that a friend of theirs, named Ilya, arrives and begins talking about a bachelor party for his friend. Marina does not like this at all, and Roman also says he cannot party too much because of training. This conversation leads to some friendly teasing between the guys, and Ilya proposes a challenge of 2 laps in the pool. While the two compete, Marina tries to keep practicing and accidentally drifts too far from the edge. Roman is still on his first lap, and his strong strokes drown out his fiancée's cries for help as she is almost drowning. The challenge ends just in time for Roman to realize that she is in danger. He quickly pulls her out of the water, but the incident upsets her greatly. Later, the couple ends up arguing about it, and Roman decides to go out with Ilya. The two go to an old vacation house that Roman's father gave him as a wedding gift. Meanwhile, Marina talks to Roman's sister, Olga, and tells her about the house. Olga is surprised to hear that their father reappeared after 20 years. Marina says he only sent the keys with the deed, recommending that the couple sell the property, but confesses that she would like to live there. This is because she has not yet seen the rundown state of the house, where the two friends are now arriving. Roman explains that no one has been there since his mother drowned in that lake 20 years ago. His father left soon after that, abandoning both children who were with their grandparents during the tragedy. Ilya and Roman enter the house, which is dark and seems untouched for decades. Searching for the light switch, the two discover that the basement was completely flooded at some point and is still inundated. At the same time, Marina also faces plumbing problems after saying goodbye to Olga. Alone at home, she decides to try to fix the sink herself instead of waiting for her fiancé. At the lake house, Roman is startled by the sound of car horns outside and discovers that Ilya has organized the party against his will. He even hired a team of professional girls, and Roman decides to leave his own party when they arrive, determined not to betray his fiancée. Unable to reach Marina, who is still busy with the sink, he decides to take a dip to relax. This seems to work at first, but then he begins to hear strange sounds as if someone else had jumped into the lake. Returning to the pier, he sees a girl brushing her wet hair and becomes fascinated by her, not even hearing his phone ringing when Marina calls back. The mysterious young woman lets him get very close and even kisses him, but then asks if he loves her and breaks into a wicked smile. The next morning, Roman's friends find him sprawled on the ground by the lake. With a distraught look, he starts asking about the girl, but no one knows what he is talking about. Ilya gathers his clothes, and upon seeing the girl's comb lying on the ground, he simply puts it in his friend's pants pocket, not paying much attention to it. Roman returns home still under the effects of the incident, but he tells no one, and Marina finds it strange when she goes to wash the clothes and finds a woman's comb. At the same time, Roman's performance in the pool falls below expectations. With the qualifying test the next day, the coach forces him to stay late, ruining their dinner plans with Marina. Ilya is the last to leave before him, and Roman is alone in the locker room when something strange happens with the showers. They start turning on and off by themselves, forcing Roman to change stalls until he finishes. Not seeing the female shadow that appears in the mirror, he goes to the lockers to check the sound of metallic banging and sees that one of the doors is banging. The mysterious woman rises behind him and asks him again if he loves her, but disappears before being seen. Roman notices a tank full of water that she seems to have emerged from, and then the locker door suddenly slams shut on his fingers. Back home, Roman begins to feel unwell and even gets irritated by his fiancée's affection. But when he loses his patience, he realizes that she is not around. When the real Marina arrives, he is burning with fever and repeating the phrase, "I do not love you." Suspicious, she talks to Olga via video and shows her the comb, saying she thinks she might be being cheated on. The sister thinks she is overreacting and seems more worried about Marina's plans for the lake house. She tells her that the couple should sell it, as living there would be a terrible idea. After this conversation, Olga rummages through a memory box until she finds some pictures of their parents and becomes intrigued when she sees the same comb in one of them. It is then that she notices a strange puddle under her mug and starts to hear the sound of dripping. At the same time, Marina also hears a sinister dripping and peeks through the bathroom door. She sees Roman in the shower, and a feminine hand is touching his hair. But all this scene dissolves when Marina opens the door. Seeing the comb at the bottom of the filled bathtub, she bends down to grab it, and a necrotic hand grabs her hair. She wakes up terrified from the nightmare, and Roman reassures her, but her own calm disappears hours later during the important trial. As soon as he jumps into the water, the same plants from the bottom of the lake appear inside the pool, leaving him very confused. Surfacing, he finds himself coming out of the lake in the middle of the night. The mermaid leans over his face and asks if he loves her, but this time he panics and responds that he does not. She reacts with a screech of hatred, revealing her hideous face, and Roman wakes up on the edge of the pool, being helped by his friends. In the hospital, he decides to tell the whole truth from the beginning, and Olga is the only one who takes the account seriously. Despite this, Marina is hurt by the confession about the kiss, and Roman runs after her to make amends, but ends up being haunted by the mermaid and cornered in an empty room. The door slams suddenly as soon as Marina finds him, and she starts calling for the others, while a sheet begins to move behind Roman. Sensing a presence, he turns and pulls the sheet, finding the mermaid in a contorted position. She attacks him as soon as the door is broken down, but the others find him alone and semi-conscious. Worried, Ilya and Marina agree to let Olga take charge, and she decides to take her brother to their father's house. Upon arriving there, we discover that their father is Misha. He reacts poorly to his daughter's questions and refuses to speak on the matter, clearly still traumatized. Only when he sees his son in the same state of disturbance does he admit the existence of the woman and begin to scream, telling Roman to stay away from her. Once Misha calms down, he tells the young people about his drama and says that Anya tried to free him from the curse by calling the mermaid by name, but that didn't work either. Despite the immense guilt for his wife's death, he confesses that it is the mermaid he still thinks about every day. He also says that Anya found something at the docks while trying to figure out how to defeat the enemy, but he does not remember what it was and does not think it will make much difference. Furious, Marina ignores his warnings and decides to go to the lake to resolve the matter once and for all. Arriving at the house, Roman continues trying to make amends, and her anger gives way to concern as his condition worsens. Olga makes Ilya dive into the lake to look for a clue, while Marina draws water from the well and is startled when a fish comes along with it. It is then that she sees an apparition at the door of the outdoor bathroom, and the figure seems to draw her there. At the bottom of the lake, Ilya finds the tombstone of a woman named Lisa Grigorieva, who died over 150 years ago. It is then that he sees the bodies of two men floating very close to him and swims quickly to the surface. Olga is distressed to see that he cannot rise, as a gray hand is pulling on his shoulder. He manages to break free with great effort and falls into the boat, telling Olga everything after she brings him to shore. In the bathroom, Marina has a vision of the past in which Anya is performing a ritual to recover her husband. Facing a mirror, she repeats the phrase, "Take what is yours and return my beloved." Marina watches in bewilderment until the terrifying woman turns around and scares her. The being suddenly grabs her, but it is just an illusion. Roman is also being attacked by the gray hands, while Marina runs away from the bathroom. When she finds him, his chair is inexplicably dragged away, knocking him down. The same invisible force then pulls him towards the basement, and Marina sees the decrepit mermaid sinking her claws into her fiancé. With a precise kick, she forces that thing to release him, and then slams the door. A little later, Ilya nails several boards to seal that passage to the basement, while Olga discovers that the comb has the initials of Lisa Grigorieva. Remembering Anya's mantra, Marina says she wants to try to return the comb to the specter, despite Olga reminding her that this did not work for her mother. Ilya's opinion is that they should flee far from that cursed lake, but Marina knows it will not work, and the mermaid will find her victim wherever there is water. At that moment, Roman calls her name, and she goes to the room, asking if he is okay. She gets very close to the bed when she sees her fiancé standing on the other side of the room, and he warns her that there is someone else with them. Seeing the empty bed, Marina is then attacked by the blanket, and her screams alert the other two. They all rush to help her, and as soon as she gets free, she decides to perform the ritual in that very bathroom, insisting on being alone there. Ilya stands guard in the yard, but it does not take long for the mermaid to appear to him as well. He goes to her, totally enchanted, and they kiss. We see that her hands change appearance as they touch him, and when she asks her usual question, he answers that he loves her. Inside the house, Olga hears a noise and realizes that Roman is no longer lying on the couch. She begins to search for him and finds him at the basement door, trying to remove the planks with a crowbar and asking for the mermaid to come get him. He attacks his sister when she tries to pull him away from the door, and his face has transformed just like their father's did 20 years ago. While the two struggle, Marina is still repeating the mantra with no success. Finding a round mirror, she decides to incorporate it into the ritual, placing the comb in the water of the basin. This time, a gust blows through the lit candles as she recites the phrase, and when she looks at the basin, she sees that the comb has disappeared. Through the round mirror, she sees Lisa's image reflected on the wall and is startled. The candles go out, and the latch turns by itself, locking the bathroom door. The apparition grabs Marina's head and pushes her into the basin, trying to drown her. Then, Marina finds herself transported to the mid-19th century and watches Lisa's personal drama. She was engaged to a boy who promised to love her for life, but he exchanged her for another shortly after. Unconvinced, Lisa crashed the wedding party, broke the mirror with a piercing scream, and used one of the shards to attack the couple. Amid the angry screams of the neighborhood accusing Lisa of her crime, she ran to the lake and threw herself in. Back in the present, Roman regains self-control and is shocked to see himself attacking Olga. After freeing her, he realizes that his fiancée is in danger and rushes to avert disaster. Ilya is still catatonic in front of the bathroom, and the door will not open at all, so Roman begins breaking it down with an axe. Finally managing to enter, he sees that the room is filled with smoke and begins calling Marina's name with his hand outstretched in front of him. She soon appears and takes his hand, but her expression is hollow as she asks him the same question the mermaid does, wanting to know if he loves her. Another Marina appears behind this one, asking the same thing, and soon the bathroom is filled with replicas of her, surrounding the boy and demanding his love. When Roman recognizes the real one and chooses her, a deathly scream echoes throughout the area, breaking Lisa's tombstone at the bottom of the lake. Ilya is downcast when the couple exits the bathroom, and Olga comes to join them. Marina says the ritual seems to have worked, as Lisa took the comb away, and then Roman decides it is time to go home. They all start preparing for the trip back, and Olga asks if Ilya is okay when she sees him washing his face with the well water. He responds that he is, and no one worries about it further until it is time to leave, and he does not show up. We see that he has returned to the house and is walking towards the basement with very red eyes and confessing his love for the mermaid. Outside, Roman tells the two women to get in the car while he goes to get his friend. Arriving at the hallway, he hears the sound of diving and sees that the basement door is wide open. Roman goes down there and panics to see a body face down slowly sinking, but cannot find his friend when he enters the water. The mermaid's voice whispers a threat, vowing to take away everyone he loves. Then, she herself rises from the water in her real, cadaverous form. Roman nearly drowns from fright and starts swimming towards the stairs, but barely can move. Tired of waiting, Olga and Marina arrive at the basement, pulling the boy out of the water with great effort. The three rush to the car, hurriedly trying to get away, and Roman tells the two that Ilya is gone. In the middle of the way, the car engine suddenly dies, and Roman cannot get it to start again. Despite having dawned without clouds that day, a very unusual storm forms in the sky, and the rain begins to pour heavily. Roman gets frustrated and gets out of the car to try to fix the problem. But Marina realizes that it is all a trap when she looks through the window and sees Lisa standing in the middle of the forest. She and Olga start banging on the windows and screaming, trying to warn Roman in time. When Marina looks to the side again, the apparition is already right next to her. The gray hand touches the glass of the window and disappears under the car as the doors lock by themselves. Marina panics as she sees the car filling with water. and Roman finally realizes the distress of the two, but cannot open the door. The water level rises very quickly, and Marina cannot break the window with her elbow either. She and Olga already have very little space to breathe when Roman breaks the glass with a rock. The two collapse on the ground, breathless, and Roman concludes that returning the comb did not work, as what the mermaid wants is to keep him. Determined to sacrifice himself, he runs back to the lake, and Marina tries to follow him, but someone hits her on the head, and she loses consciousness. As Roman reaches the lake, he feels a hand on his shoulder and sees Lisa as she used to be. She asks the question again, and for the first time he answers that he loves her, but she does not believe him. Her features begin to transform into the cadaverous witch, and he feels something tightening around his neck. It is already getting dark when another car arrives, and someone dressed in a hood gets out of it. At the same time, Marina wakes up tied to a chair in the basement and sees that Olga has the round mirror, performing her own ritual. She offers her friend in exchange for her brother and is unmoved by Marina's pleas, saying there is no other way. She keeps repeating the offer until the surface of the water begins to move in an impossible way, as if it were made of cloth. The phenomenon is interrupted by a man's voice at the top of the stairs, and we see that the hooded man is Misha. He tells his daughter that this exchange will never work because the victim has to offer herself voluntarily. Olga refuses to listen to her father and threatens him with scissors, while Marina takes advantage of the confrontation to try to free herself. Misha manages to calm Olga, and the two embrace, in tears. It is then that Olga's eyes widen over his shoulder, horrified at the sight of Lisa standing there with them. Misha approaches and asks her to take him, but this time he does not say it in that automatic way, and his eyes are still normal. He declares that he has never stopped loving her and asks her to accept him in place of the son, leaving the young people in peace. Lisa looks into his eyes, and her face transforms into a monstrous being as she opens her mouth to devour him. The two fall together into the water and disappear beneath the surface, to Olga's despair, who grabs a strand of hair. Marina, now free from the ropes, picks up the scissors that had fallen and cuts the strand, which seems to provoke a very destructive effect on the mermaid. She resurfaces screaming and pulls Olga with her as the cut hair burns in Marina's hands. Running to the lake, she tries to give the scissors to Roman, explaining that the mermaid's power is in her hair, but he is nearly completely suffocated. Then Marina decides to jump in and face the mermaid on her own. She manages to cut one more strand of her hair, and Roman begins to breathe instantly. Seeing his fiancée emerge from the lake, he hugs her affectionately, but his blood freezes when she asks him if he loves her. He says yes, with a fake smile, and then grabs all her hair at once, pressing the scissors as close to the scalp as possible. She begins to writhe, and her face undergoes various metamorphoses, embodying all the women who were victims of that lake. Finally, she returns to being Lisa, so human and fragile that when she falls into the water, she begins to drown. Roman waits until she stops thrashing and then dives to bring Marina back. After a little CPR, she recovers and the two return home together. Despite the relief, Roman still finds it strange to see his fiancée combing her hair with her fingers, with a lost look in her eyes.